The difference is made possible by the following small businesses: real property management focus, the choice to make when you want to feel confident and secure in knowing that your investment is earning the profit it deserves. The Financial Point, your go-to spot for all things finance. Platinum Eagle Insurance, providing the widest range of insurance options to make insurance easy and seamless. WeatherTech General Contracting, we make your home renovation dreams a reality. Lender's Choice Credit Solutions, we do all the work. You get all the credit. And by Power on Utilities Concierge, your one-stop shop for all of your home's essential services.
And welcome to Chit Chat with Char. This morning, I have the honor of speaking with one of my sponsors, Mr. Dane Wilson. He is an author, he's an owner, an entrepreneur, and just has a lot of great information that he's going to be sharing with us today. Dane, without further ado, please join us.
Hello.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. Okay, so tell us a little bit more about who you are, what you do, and what you're into, and then we'll jump right in.
So my name's Dane. More business or personal or a little bit of both?
A little bit of both.
Okay. Well, I live in Frisco. I have a wife that we've been married for coming up on 7 years, and I have a 2-year-old that keeps me busy when I'm not here at the office. But I own a credit repair business. We started back in 2015, and then we recently started an independent insurance agency and a utility service setup service. And so we help clients when they're moving into a new house set up utility services. So all that keeps me pretty busy. I don't know if I've slept since my son's been born.
Oh, I can only imagine. We, as you know, I have a grandchild, so I know what that means. Whenever I have him, I don't sleep. It's like, oh my God, I do not miss that. So, okay. So you did not mention the fact that you're an author. So let's talk a little bit about the book that you wrote, why you wrote it, and where we're going with that.
So I've done more homebuyer seminars than I can count, just going on weekends. I think in 2019, every weekend I had at least one. In some cases I'd have like an early morning one, and then I'd go straight to like a after lunch homebuyer seminar. And so, you go over these subjects. There's only so much you can cover in a period of time, but it seemed to be like, everybody say the same thing. Oh, we didn't learn this in school, or, this is so useful. And so I just basically took my, every homebuyer seminar or lunch and learn I've done and just kind of sort of compiled it and put it in an organized form. My goal was just sort of like thinking about a timeline and taking somebody from day one, step one, what do I do first, and all the way through the process. And I tried to leave out as much fluff as possible. I've read more books than I can count where you're like 4 or 5 chapters deep and you haven't even really, they're still telling you what they're going to tell you or what you're going to learn. And so I tried to jump straight into it. I tried to leave out all the, FICO started in, 1980. I tried to leave out a lot of the just stuff that doesn't actually, if I'm a person who's just trying to improve my credit, what do I need to know? Leave out all the extra, show how smart you are. Just what do I need to know to get from where I am to where I'm trying to get to as quick and affordable as possible?
Yes. So, excuse me, when you released the book, I went and bought a bunch of them because I think it's really important to talk about credit. We have a legacy meeting, with our family. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the things that I gave all 5 of our kids, plus a couple of their cousins, because I think it's important and we don't talk about it enough. And I think, from where I'm coming from, we never talked about finances in any way. Mm-hmm. So having the ability to talk about, credit and, give my kids the insight that they need to know to start out better than I did. It's just awesome. So any
Writing it wasn't.
opportunity. So I was glad that I can do a twofer, support
Yeah,
you and what
thank
you
you.
were doing, and then also, give something to my kids.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And you did exactly what my purpose in doing it was is I just want as many people who need it to have it as possible, and so I've given away a ton of free ones. I don't want it to be like it's not really about selling a book. It was just, doing it the way I did it, got it out the way I wanted to. And then I just want as many people who need it to get it. And then if you look at my bookshelf, it's pretty thin back there. It's because I like to give books away. I think that's like the most valuable thing that you can give. And so I just want people to read it, give it away, read it, give it away, and let as many people get as possible. It was tough to write, as tougher than I thought. But I think just kind of what you just said sort of pushed me or drove me to to keep doing it, because I just daily basis seeing stories and people who need it, and I feel an urgency because there's things that you could be doing right now that might make it worse or cost you more, and I just, as fast as I can, want to get the information to to the people who need it.
Yes. So you spoke about giving books away. Over the last couple of weeks, I've received about 4 books. So I have enough reading material at
Oh,
least for a couple of months.
I got the wrong
And
friends. I want some books.
you know what? I love reading. I love it. And I don't read nearly as much as I would like to, just due to time. But I do listen to audiobooks regularly.
Hmm.
But you were so gracious to bless me with a copy of You Can't Hurt Me. And I cannot wait to get into it. We have a book club in our office where we talk about different things. And the book that we're currently getting ready to jump into is What to Say When You're Talking to Yourself. And that's by Shad Helmsmeyer. And
Hmm.
I've gotten into it. I'm into the first couple of chapters of the book. An amazing book. It's really good. It's just talking about how to deprogram the programming that we have been raised with or born with, and all the outside influences from people that not necessarily meaning to hurt us, but
Hmm.
they're only giving us what they know.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
sometimes that programming is not beneficial for us. So
It's from their
it's
own experiences and how they view the world. And, yeah, no, I agree. I'm doing this with my team. I just started it at the beginning of the year, 7 habits of effective people. And it's like a 52-week challenge. And the card I read this morning was on that exact subject. Just sit and think about things that you've learned and sort of maybe, what you've been taught that gives you certain perspective on the world that may not be the most helpful. And, what can you do, about that? But that's interesting. That's kind of exactly what I was looking at today.
his In the first couple of chapters, it talks a little bit about as parents, the things that we say to our children as parents, like, no, don't do this, you
Hmm.
can't do that, don't touch that, but we never really go into why.
Hmm.
And because we never go into why, it piques that curiosity, so they end up doing it
Hmm.
anyway, because we didn't give enough information as
Hmm.
to don't touch the stove because you're going to get burned.
Hmm.
And it's true. And
Hmm.
I was raised that if an adult said something to you, you don't ask
That's the
questions.
reason, because
Yeah,
they said, yeah.
that they said so. So
Hmm.
with that, it's like you think about, some of the things that you were brought up with, and it's like, man, that is a good point. And he also went in to say that we learn things as early as a baby, like in our parents' or in our mother's
Hmm.
womb.
Hmm. Yeah, that's true. I was reading a book, and it's a psychologist, and talks about the early stages and like certain things a father or mother can do that it's like you're not even intentionally, but the development, just sort of one thing that I found interesting was like me just kind of playing around with my son, wrestling around and stuff. It teaches them certain boundaries, what's acceptable, what's not. Obviously, like motor skills and different things, but just sort of mentally teaching them at a young age what's acceptable, what's too far, what's playful, what's not, because you're starting from nothing and sort of programming them. And so every little thing teaches them, but you may not even know you're doing it. That sort of scared me. It made me sort of take a step back and try to everything that I do be a little bit more aware of what that might look like.
And being mindful. As you were talking, I was thinking about when, I'd raised my kids as a single mom. And so I think about when they were coming up, how I would always say that we were broke. We're broke. We don't have any money. We're broke. And that wasn't really and truly the case. It
Mm-hmm.
was more so to control like what they would ask me for. So if
Mm-hmm.
they thought that mom didn't have any money, then
Mm-hmm.
what they would ask for would be limited. But
Mm-hmm.
then to go back and think about, if you constantly tell somebody that they're broke, you're broke, we're broke, what
Mm-hmm.
kind of mindset that really develops? And I look now at some of the choices that they've made, and it's like, man, that was probably an indirect correlation with me saying that. And for my internal purposes, saying we're broke, now they're taking that internally, and they're having actions that relate to me directly saying that. And
You know
so
what I've
it is scary.
tried to do as I like reflect on, my life and my dad and I have these conversations. And hopefully I can teach my son this so it sort of bails me out, but also, maybe helps him is know somebody's intent, what they were trying to do, and just be able to think for yourself and you know, use that and kind of learn from that. So you didn't do anything wrong. You have your, like you had a good intent. And so for them to be able to sort of use that and know this is, and that's okay. And so I've tried to do that. And hopefully my son will too. Just like, hey, I have good intentions with everything I do. I'm definitely gonna make mistakes, but just you can see that and learn from that, and you maybe don't even have to tell me.
And one of the things too is that as they get older and then they start to have children of their own, I think that awareness and understanding, it immediately comes into play, because it's like now you have a kid of your own.
Mm-hmm.
Now
Yeah,
you can look at things from with a different lens, because it's so different being a parent and being a child.
you're
Being a
right.
child and you're looking at your parents like, you should know everything, or why didn't you tell me this, or why didn't we do that?
It's funny that you
And
say
then
that because of course, you go through that stage where you like realize your parents don't know everything, and then now all of a sudden you're smarter. The day that I had my son, I realized I would know nothing right now if it weren't for my parents. Every single thing I'm about to do is because of drawing from what I've learned from them. I would have zero in my brain on how to be a parent or do anything. So you go from thinking they don't know anything and you know everything to instantly like, thank God I had them, because I would be in trouble right now.
right. And even on the flip side of that too, when you have parents that maybe aren't the best parents, because there are, parents that are just not good parents. You can draw from that experience to help you be a better parent, because you don't want, that you don't want your children to live that kind of life or have that kind of
Mhm.
influence. So, you can draw on that from both ways.
Yeah, I find it interesting because you'll hear like, yeah, I didn't have a good upbringing. My parents, had, whatever issues, this or that. And, it just motivated and made me. And then you hear the other side, like, well, I'm this way because my parent, it's like just sort of choosing, you go one way or the other with it, and how do you want to use that? And I think it ultimately comes down to just wanting the best and not really wanting to have an excuse to keep you, in a certain position or whatever, but using that as, to learn from it.
Right, right. And that is really all what it's all about. It's about that mindset. It's about, being mindful. You talked about being aware when we're talking to our kids, and
Mhm.
just when we talk to people, because everybody is going through something, and
Mhm.
just have the mindfulness that, hey, it's not all that, because we are all wearing a mask, and it's like when we do that, we just got to be mindful and understand that, what, we're all going through something, we all
Mhm.
need something, and
Mhm.
that's pretty much it. We're
I agree.
going to
I love that.
prepare to go to a quick break,
Mhm.
and then when we come back, I would love to get into some of the reasons why you decided to go into credit repair. I want to really dig deep into that, because everybody has a credit repair company, everybody's doing it,
Mhm.
and really just want to talk about what sets Lender's Choice apart from all the other credit repair companies out there. So once we break, we'll come back and get into that.
Sounds good.
You are watching Chit Chat with Char, hosted by Charmaine Byers and powered by The Difference, the voice of small businesses and the communities they serve. Today's show is made possible by the following small business partners: Power on Utilities,
Texas' best utility concierge service, the Financial Point, your go-to spot for all things finance. And by WeatherTech General Contracting, specializing in high-end remodeling, roof repair, and commercial build-outs for more than 10 years. And now back to the show.
Just about to take a sip.
That was quick.
Okay, so Lender's Choice Credit Solution. Tell us about the name. Let's start with the name. Why did you choose Lender's Choice?
Well, so as you know, but maybe not everybody watching, my dad was a lender, mortgage lender for a long time, and he started helping his clients as he was trying to, help them get approved with their credit. And then, he starts helping the other lenders in the office with their clients. And then he made a business out of that and got excited about helping people. It just became sort of a passion and something that he uniquely was good at. And even to this day, and that was a long time ago, still not many people really know much about credit. We've always been, and he first, and then me, very sort of focused on our referral partners, our lender partners, our realtor partners, and everything that we do, our pricing, as far as trying to get the results quickly, not have it kind of drag out. Our business model is really tailored around, like, if you were to sit down right now and say, what would the ideal credit repair company that I want to partner with look like, or a lender, which is, in a way, who we get the majority of our clients from, because they're looking at credit reports. What does that look like? What is the best case scenario? Because I think a byproduct of the perfect credit repair company for a mortgage lender would be good for the client, right? Affordability. They don't want, our partners don't want us overcharging clients. They want us to get it done as quick as possible. They want the clients to be happy and satisfied. They don't want to feel like they referred to a company, and so we just, we wanted to be the lender's choice. And so, we really consider ourselves a niche market. We help everybody, of course, but a niche market. On our goal is to help people become homeowners, and and help lenders when they have clients that need help. We want them to turn to us and let us help.
Good. Okay, so did you ever have any personal finance issues? Is that something that really motivated you to get into it, or?
This is almost embarrassing, because I feel like a really good inspirational story is a lot of people who have gone through, a rough time and turned around. And I think my dad would say he had gone through a divorce and taught himself how to do it. And that was his story, really. I had a dad who knew a lot about credit, who helped me build credit. And I've, seen what it looks like, to be in major debt, or, to have to battle back. And it's terrifying, and so I really haven't, I've been really lucky in that way. I really personally have not. And so I think it was very good for me to have, obviously, a dad that helped me with that, but also seeing from a young age, helping him and seeing others, you just, it's scary. And so I try to, I've taught at some high schools and talked to some. Last call I had yesterday before I left was a 21-year-old who's already terrified about, like, wanting to have the best credit and scared they're not doing everything right. I'm like, just you having that attitude about it is good enough. You will always have good credit if you feel that strongly about it. Some people don't, like, if I get a 30-day late here and there, no big deal. But for me, it's, it's obviously super important. And I do believe that having good credit, saving money on interest rates, that can change the trajectory of your entire life. What you do with that money, that extra money that you're getting to keep because you have good credit, and, whether you're investing it, whether you're giving it, I think that's substantial in the difference, a life-changing amount. And so, no, like I said, my story is not as inspirational in that way, but I've been lucky enough to learn from others and avoid that so far.
Well, you know what? And that is it too, because you've experienced it not directly, but indirectly. One of the things that Lyndon and I were talking about the other day was that I'm the same way. If I see something, if I see someone else going through something, then I'm just like, okay, that experience was enough for me. I don't need to go through that personally to get the understanding. So I've been able to see glimpses of things and not actually be directly affected by some things. And so that's a blessing in itself, and being able to see something from a distance and still be able to learn and glean from it in order to create a company like this that is helping so many people.
Mhm.
So let's talk about some of your stats. I don't know, we didn't talk about stats, but some of the stats that you have been able to do with helping people to get into home ownership, because that's important.
Well, I mean, I don't have all the stats on me right now. I know that we did one of the agents that works in your office, I think in 2020 or 21, they closed 12, 14 more homes of people that had gone through our program. Every day I usually get an update. That's the most motivating and talk about like what gets you up on a Monday morning, just knowing I'm going to get those success stories every day. There's no better feeling. I mean, it's a lot. Credit is a personal thing. You see a lot of people, with the realtor at the title company closing, and the credit repair person's normally not there. And they're not, not everybody wants to share that, understandably so. So, a lot of what we do is sort of behind the scenes, and that's okay, but I mean, we've been able to help a lot of people, a couple hundred people a month, usually during our program. That goes up and down sort of depending on the crazy market, but yeah, I mean, Josh and I worked on a stat, and that's the co-owner of the Lender's Choice, by the way. And I think in 2020, we were at like around 13,000 people that we had helped. And in these past 2 years, 2020, and then going into 2021, and now I mean, we've sort of skyrocketed these past few years. So even more.
That's awesome. You talked about, credit and having good credit, and how you paying less interest can change the whole trajectory of your financial portfolio.
Mhm.
What do you think is the main reason why people don't like to talk about credit? I know it's a personal thing, but what makes
Well,
it so?
here's what I see. First of all, a a lot of people have gone through tough times. A lot of that is outside of our control. People are so embarrassed. I get calls and they feel the need to defend themselves to me. Like, I've always done good before this, but I'm like, look, I know, like like, it's okay. Like, it's not, I like I totally understand and respect that. But the people who will put a good review about us and say, I had horrible credit and but that it's just cool. It's like they get it happens. It's okay. It's common. When we keep it sort of private, maybe we assume everybody else is just doing, phenomenally well around us, and it's only you and you're, so I think they take it personally, like they've, that they're a bad person, or they, and I think it's sort of like that. Maybe like in school, if you didn't have the best grade and you wouldn't really want anybody to know that. I think that's what it is. In my opinion, just from every call I get, it's always like they feel like they have to and I'm like, I totally understand. It's okay. It can be fixed. It doesn't make you a bad person or anything. This is not that big of a deal in that way. The fact that you're wanting to fix it means
That's
everything.
everything.
Yeah, and so I guess that's what it is. Um, you know, Sometimes it's circumstance. My dad says circumstances and situations that have come up. I talked to more people I can count yesterday. It was divorce. I just spoke with a woman yesterday that was referred by an Apex real estate agent, and her husband just unexpectedly passed away. She's trying to sort
Yeah.
through, so there's that. And then got another call, and it's like, look, when I was in my 20s, I just was making bad decisions. I bought a $50,000 car. I knew I couldn't afford it. I maxed out
Right.
credit cards. And now they're in a position where they know that wasn't, wise, which I still think is somewhat okay. Like, a lot of people have been in that position. It's like, you can't do anything about it, And so it's a little bit of both.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is such a private thing. And like you said, people feel bad about it because a lot of people feel like, well, I should have known better. But the truth really is that a lot of us did not know about credit. You
Yeah.
don't know how it works. You don't know the in and out of it.
Mhm.
And sometimes it can be overwhelming
I
when you
remind
look
people
at
that it
it.
was designed that way. Like, credit initially was just for businesses to be able to use this information and decide, are we credit worthy or not? It wasn't ever really intended to be something that we could know about, look at online, and when they figured out they could make money by us buying credit scores and all that, sure, now we'll give you, but it is very private, and there's still so much that we'll never know because it's proprietary. They don't want you to sort of know exactly how it works, because I guess you could game the system a little bit.
Right. Absolutely. So you talked about businesses. What about business credit? We have the influx of entrepreneurs with the Great Recession
Mhm.
happening right now. So let's talk about business credit and what that looks like.
So I'll give a story to sort of explain how it works. So I got a call from a realtor a few years ago. He said, I want you to come to my office. I need help fixing my credit. He said his goal was to buy a Tesla. So you sort of have in your mind what you think this is going to look like. Was not what I expected. Looked at his credit report, perfect payment history on everything. He had 10 rental properties in his name. On paper, multimillionaire, had tons of equity in all of them. But first of all, he loved the houses. Like he called them his babies. He didn't want to sell them. And he didn't have property management, anybody. And he just loved his renters and they'd miss payments. And that was all just affecting his credit. And so it's like on paper, this guy's a millionaire, but he can't buy a car because, renters have, impacted his credit. And so I said, you got to build business credit. We need to get these rental properties off your personal credit and build business credit. Because think about Walmart. If they go get a line of credit, the owner of Walmart doesn't have to go personally guarantee everything. It's under the business. So like your social security number can pull your personal credit report. You have an EIN number. It's basically like your business social in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's tied to your business. And there's more details to it, a little bit more. And in a way, building business credit is easier than building personal credit. But the idea is just to be able to, if you need a business line of credit or a business credit card, you can do that under your business and it's not going to show up on your personal credit report. And so if God forbid anything happens to your business, it doesn't ruin your personal finances, or if you put some credit card or put something on business credit cards and then you go buy a house, it doesn't affect your debt to income personally. And so I like the real estate investing example because it's just a perfect fit to be able to get business credit, put that as a down payment on a rental property, or use a business credit card to repair a house and then flip it and then pay off the card. It's a good fit for really any business. For me personally, it really helped at the beginning just keep us going. I'm very aggressive about reinvesting into the business, but you're going to have times where things go up and down. And I don't like money just sitting in the bank account. That doesn't do me any good. I'd rather hire employees, give employees raises, or use it to grow. And so, it's just nice that, to have that to, I guess, in some cases, survive until things pick back up, you pay it off, you keep going. And so I think that in a lot of cases, probably the difference between a business making it and not.
Right. I agree. When I first took over the leadership role for our Garland Firewall office, one thing that I quickly came to realize, and it's something that was really on my mind as well, is the lack of agents coming into real estate with the business mentality and treating their real estate career like a business. So we did that series, Mind Your Business, and it was a great success. I really wanted to do it again this year, and maybe we'll do it later on this year. But it's something that was very, very helpful. We were able to help several of our agents establish business credit, LLCs, and it's been an amazing thing just to see them be able to stay in the game just because they have their business credit. Where
do more, like it's what a competitive advantage to have it versus other agents who don't, and be able to do more marketing and get yourself out there more, and do more headshots, or be able to do more with your listing to get it. What an advantage to have that. Right.
We are going to prepare for for another break, but I want to continue this conversation because I think there's so much more here in business credit. Your personal credit, personal finances is important. Business credit is just as important. And having the resources to be able to dig down and get that business credit, I think is going to be amazing for many more people, not just realtors. So when we come back from the break, we'll continue this conversation.
The difference is made possible by the following small businesses: Real Property Management Focus, the choice to make when you want to feel confident and secure in knowing that your investment is earning the profit it deserves. The Financial Point, your go-to spot for all things finance. Platinum Eagle Insurance, providing the widest range of insurance options to make insurance easy and seamless. WeatherTech General Contracting, We make your home renovation dreams a reality. Lender's Choice Credit Solutions. We do all the work. You get all the credit. And by Power on Utilities Concierge, your one-stop shop for all of your home's essential services.
All right. Thank you so much for our sponsors. Dane, you are one of our sponsors and are several of our sponsors. And I just want to personally thank you for everything that you've done, for me and for helping every endeavor. If I ask you for anything, you have just been amazing in pointing me in the right direction for the resources, or just stepping in and saying, hey, I can do that. So I appreciate you for that.
I appreciate
love and
you.
support.
I really appreciate you. You do so much for us. I could say all the same things about you, and you deserve more.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so let's get back into the business credit. So we were talking about, how we were able to collectively come up with it was an 8-week series called Mind Your Business. And basically part of that was talking directly about business credit and helping our agents through the process of getting business credit. And now we're actually seeing the results of, them being able to sustain their business even in the ups and downs. Now, this market has been crazy, but there are still agents out there that are not working as hard or as much. But when you have a solution like this, they're able to sustain their business.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
And you mentioned earlier, and I think it's so true. I was talking to my wife about this the other day. We were talking about some of Apex's top agents. I'm like, at this point, they're not even real estate agents anymore. They're business owners. Like, they have so much going on. It's so much bigger than just an individual agent doing, a couple transactions. And it's the way to, I guess, grow. You're completely a business. And so having access to a line of credit or a credit card or whatever is a big advantage, because any business is going to get to that point where it's just you got more work coming in than you can handle, but you don't want to give up, the money you're making, or you may not even be making money yet. You got bills and everything. And so just having something to go, I know this is how you scale, by the way. So I've proven the model. I want to bring on my next person. So I need, this money, hire this person, and I know in X amount of time, the return will be X. And then you just keep doing that and doing that once you've proven that it works. And so that's where I think that taking on maybe debt is a good thing, because, if it's proven, I don't think that, obviously we've talked about ups and downs. It's a good thing to fall back on. It may not be wise to take on debt, but what's your alternative, right? I mean, and I think it's proven to work. It proved to work for me. Not always ideal, but it's not so easy just to go start a business with no debt, no partners, I mean, it'd be great if it were that easy, but sometimes you're going to have to, decide which route you want to go. And so, I think for real estate agents, whether it's marketing, whether it's, hiring an assistant, whatever it is, there's a ton of benefits. And then also think about, like, I got a business credit card that does cash back. When you're using your card on every business expense, the expenses are high, and to be able to get that money back, it's just free money you can reinvest. I mean, I know the value of a dollar, and so every little bit like that to me is huge.
Right. And you said something about taking on debt. I think when we're educated and we know how to take on debt, I think that makes the difference. That is what sets it apart from, tapping into the resource of having business credit, and then understanding that, yeah, I'm taking on debt, but in the long run, this is going to help me to build my business on a strong foundation.
Yeah,
And,
debt's an investment. If you can get, X amount of money at a certain interest rate, and that using that money, the return on investment is going to outweigh the cost, it's a no-brainer. I wouldn't go get a loan if you're a business owner because you just want to use that as salary for a while, because you don't really have a plan on paying that back. And that obviously could get you in trouble. Now, if you got to survive for a couple months, you got to do what you got to do. I don't really see that as a problem. It's another reason it's good to put it in a business, because if, for some reason it doesn't work out, start another business. You have try again, but it doesn't affect your family. It doesn't affect you personally. You can live to fight another day.
I just thought about there are so many young real estate agents coming into the business, like young 20. I think the youngest that I have in my office, I think he just turned 21. And I think about for him to go and get a business loan with his age, he's not going to be able to do that, with his experience. So, developing business credit is going to be
Mhm.
very beneficial for someone like him coming into the business,
Yeah.
and starting, fresh, and starting with that idea that, okay, I'm going to build my business portfolio. You can't walk into a bank at 21 years old,
And just say,
with the
yeah.
business plan and think that you're going to walk away with money. I mean,
The
you
only time you can
may.
do that is with student loans when you're that young.
Exactly. So that was a perfect segue, because I do want to talk about the student loan crisis.
Mm.
So let's talk about that.
Mhm. Well, so even back in college, one of the last papers I did was on this, and that's when I really did a deep dive, and my eyes were opened. The amount of people, and way back then, it was like 40 million Americans have student loans in default. And so, just to kind of paint the picture, you get out of high school and just putting yourself sort of in the shoes, because I know to a certain degree what this feels like. You got certain friends going to big universities. You don't want to feel like you can't do it. In a way that it's wise not to go take on a ton of debt. But I think that, number one, they make it very easy, but also you just don't want to miss out. Your friends are, and it's sort of become this whole like experience. And like even the rec centers and how it's like they're creating this like resort for young people just to go have fun and like drop in class every once in a while. But the amount of debt that people are taking on, well, 18-year-old, 19-year-old making these decisions, pressing one button, getting access to all this money, enough to cover all college and then some,
Right.
is a big problem. And then when you come out, you can pretty much defer or put your payments in forbearance for your whole 20s. They have ways that you just keep putting it off, and the interest is just accruing. Before you know it, it's doubled. And another big problem is there's Parent Plus loans. Parents are going in and getting loans and helping their kids out, and you can get enough Parent Plus loans to cover the whole cost of college, and the interest rates are a lot higher. It's not as they keep the interest rates on student loans relatively fair, but Parent Plus loans could be twice as much. And so you and I, me and a lot of people sort of in the real estate world have talked about this is delaying young people being able to become homeowners, because you're coming out of school and you got it like basically like an extra car payment.
Yeah.
And you don't know what your income is going to be. So if you look at it, what is the average American income after college? What's the average American expenses, rent, everything like that, and then student loan payment? There's no money there. There's no way put some money aside for a down payment. So if you don't have family that can help you, or if you don't start making 100 grand straight out of school, or a partner that does, then I mean it's just going to take a long time. And so using the word mindful, like it's so important to think about this when you're getting ready to go to college. I admire any 18-year-old who can make that decision. They're going to be great and do just fine in life. To sacrifice that, I still remember how hard it is, because you want to get to do what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's over 40 million people with student loans in default. People put them in forbearance for a long time. The interest rate racks up, but there's also options that a lot of people don't know about to help with this. One thing that I help people do all the time is an income-based repayment plan, or an income-driven repayment plan. So when you get out of college, you have your total student loans and 25 years, whatever the repayment period is. So whatever that payment is, it could be $500, $600, $700 a month. You could be making $1 million a year or $10,000 a year when you get out of college. They don't know, but you have a standard repayment plan. Well, a lot of people are, including someone I spoke to yesterday, student loans were in default. They just panicked. Like, I can't pay that. That's crazy. Yeah. Right. They don't know, what that's going to look like. So you can do an income-based repayment plan and get the payment a whole lot lower. And so that's my suggestion is, make payments. Don't just put it in forbearance, because it's just going to accrue interest, and it's going to become something that you really don't want to have to deal with, and it's just going to delay home ownership. And one thing that Lori Arnold talks about a lot is nothing builds wealth like real estate, and that's where the whole sort of trajectory, another way, comes into play. I've seen in my own life. I've owned 2 homes, and there's no investment, outside of maybe business. There's no investment that comes close. And so if you have student loans, and just because you wanted to have a fun 4 years or 5 years or 6 years, and then you can't buy a house, well, it's just going to be an uphill battle from there to really get ahead.
Right, right. And I mean, even with all the prices going up, as you were talking, I'm thinking about the rates of home ownership right now, as far as the increase in prices, the increase in interest, even though the interest rates have been, at all-time lows, that's helping. But if you have this debt that is, that you're burdened with as a young person, it's like, what do you do? So what advice would you give someone who may not have any idea about anything credit related, who is going into college or higher education, whatever that may be, to help them prepare for home ownership once they're done with that? What advice would you give?
Okay. So I'll try to keep this concise, but I think a big problem is there's so many different sort of coaches, the Dave Ramseys, and then you got a million people saying Dave Ramsey's wrong. Well, he's one of the most popular sort of personal finance coaches out there. And so for so many people to say he's wrong, that gets confusion. I think people sort of panic and just, I'll just keep renting. Like, I don't want to make a mistake. I'm not sure which way to go. Dave Ramsey talks a lot about give up Starbucks, like just basically live as cheap as you can. What does he say? Live like no one else, so one day you can live like no one else. A lot of people don't want to give up a certain lifestyle or consistently over time do that. They know I need to finance a car. I'm not going to pay cash. I don't think that model works either as far as becoming a homeowner in your 20s. If you're constantly trying to save money to just pay cash for a car, I think if you can get a good interest rate, it makes sense to do that. But what I would do is, not only should you, of course, cut back on your wants and all the extras, but insurance premiums are affected big time if you have bad credit. You might be paying $100, $200 more a month on your auto insurance. And interest rates, big time. We know that. Utility bills, I've seen it now with starting this business, how just shopping around and then having good credit can really impact. So on the things that you have to pay for, in other words, taxes, insurance, interest rates, utilities, like care enough to make sure you're getting the best deal. Investing a little bit and maybe credit repair or fixing your credit so that you can save that money, I think is everything, because that money can be saved and then invested, and that gets you closer, to having down payment money than, and I've done videos where I put up, exact stats. If you could save $100 a month, $200 a month for this amount of time invested at an average rate of return, there's your down payment, and so I don't focus too much on the give up Starbucks and all that kind of stuff, because people are either going to do that or they're not. They don't need another person saying don't. And, you should. But to me, if you can save money on the things you got to buy anyway, and then take advantage of one thing Mark Cuban talks about is there's no better rate of return than like looking for good deals on stuff. If you can buy in bulk and save 20%, if you can, if you have a cashback card and you can save money on gasoline, you invest all of that, thinking about everything I just said and sort of just every dollar being, aware. I mean, that's giving yourself the best chance. And then obviously with student loans, educate yourself. Is there a way I can get my student loan payment down? Just knowing what options you actually have.
Yes.
Or just call me and I'll help you.
There you go. There you go. And your information is scrolling down at the bottom of the screen. So I love what you just said. I love everything about that. But listening to you, give up Starbucks, the Dave Ramsey model, and giving up things, that's just not the society that we live in. It's not the world that we live in to give up anything. If anything, it's take get everything you can to do whatever you want to. What do the kids say these days? YOLO, you only live once, so it's like, having that kind of mindset, it really is going to take some mindfulness and practice to be able to do that.
I just took the time to sort of do the math on, Dave Ramsey's route. I mean, again, look at what the average American makes after college and what their average expenses are. If you're trying to save to always be paying cash for a car, so you can buy an $8,000 car, well, how long is that car going to last? Then you got to buy another one. Then versus if you have good credit, getting a good interest rate, having that money now to invest, it will not take you. I'm proof. I bought my first house at 23,
Yeah.
and then when I sold it, the profit I made, like that got me money, I mean, it just like snowballs and
Dane, hold that
yeah.
thought. We're gonna go to break really quick, and when we come back, we'll finish that up. But hold that thought.
You are watching Chit Chat with Char, hosted by Charmaine Byers and powered by The Difference, the voice of small businesses and the communities they serve. Today's show is made possible by the following small business partners: Power on Utilities, Texas' best utility concierge service, The Financial Point, your go-to spot for all things finance, and by WeatherTech General Contracting, specializing in high-end remodeling, roof repair, and commercial build-outs for more than 10 years. And now back to the show.
All right. Okay. So finish up that thought, and then I want to talk a little bit about Power on Utilities and Platinum Eagle Insurance before we wrap.
Okay. So yeah, I was just saying, I mean, myself, I think somewhat and proof that, doing it the way that I just talked about, just making sure you're taking advantage of low interest rates and saving as much money as possible is a way that you can become a homeowner as soon as possible, which should be your goal. The way the market is moving, you can't out save, the increasing prices of houses. The best thing you can do is get a house, any house, as fast as you can, and then
Thank
just hang
you.
on from the ride from there. Like, if you're not happy with the house you got, don't worry. You're not going to have to wait too long before that's going to go up in value. And, and I think a lot of the, in that maybe first time homeowner price range, those are like the ones that seem to be going up, the most and having the biggest rate of return, because there's just nowhere like, those are the most sought after, the biggest percentage of population, are looking in that range. I guess that's really the main point. When I do home buyer seminars, a lot of people like, I just, I need help with my credit, but I just don't have the money to buy a house. Don't you think there's people that make the same income that you do that are homeowners? And they're like, well, yeah. I'm like, you just got to keep more of the money that you're making. You make plenty of
Yes.
money to buy a house. You just need to keep more of that money and you'll be able to do it.
I love it. And I love how you put that out there, that this may not be your dream home, but get in there, get in the game so
Mhm.
that you can be a homeowner. And there's so many different things that you can do with home ownership. And I think that as a first-time home buyer, some of our buyers, they get in there and they want the home of their dreams.
Mhm.
They want their first home to be this amazing palace. And I'm so glad that you said that, because I think as real estate agents, sometimes it's hard to communicate that to our clients because they don't understand. Like, your job is to find me this palace for 200,000,
Mhm.
and it's like that doesn't exist.
I know.
That
The
doesn't
only thing that
exist.
worked for me is it just consider like the first place that my wife and I bought, we were 23, just really kind of getting started. Certainly not anybody's palace or dream home or anything like that. But I was like, this is an investment. I cared about where it was, and then I just knew over time. And, we sold it, I think in 2017 or 18, after realtor fees, everything is like $90,000 that we got. That was a pretty smart decision. I think we can
Yes, at
survive
23.
in not our dream house for a while to have that now still in our 20s and be able to roll. I mean, that like, we didn't do anything special other than just, relying on an agent to know what was important to me, which is, I want to know that this is going to be a good investment. So if
That's
anything, lean into
awesome.
that. If you know you're not going to get your dream home, okay, I'm going to find the best possible investment. Let's look for a deal. Let's look for something we can fix up, and this is going to get us like closer to our dream home next. Like lean into it even more,
Right, right. I love it. A 23-year-old, cashing out with 90,000, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
That's
it's a
pretty
little
good. And
overwhelming.
like you said, to look at it as an investment, but all of that takes training. It takes, somebody being in your life to provide that kind of insight. And a blessing for you, you had dad that was able to give you that information,
Mhm.
to kind of catapult you into where you are today. And that is a blessing. A lot of people don't have that.
We just got to seek it out because I mean that's all we need is more information, and you can get
And
whatever
it's
you
it's
want.
there before us.
Mhm.
We have more information at our fingertips than we've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about understanding what information are we looking for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
So
agree.
that's really
Yeah.
good. So let's segue into Power On Utilities and Platinum Eagle Insurance. I do. We've talked about interest rates and being able to tap into paying less or keeping more of your money
Mm-hmm.
with insurance rates and utility rates.
Mm-hmm.
Is that part of the reason why you branched off and went into these companies?
For me, it is. I have business partners that, I could go into sort of their reasoning. A lot of it is we're a community. I've helped a lot of people over the years. I still try to keep in touch, and it's like they know me, they trust me, and it's like if I can get into some other things that we all need and just make sure they're getting the best deal, because you learn something about an industry that maybe you don't like. I didn't love the insurance industry; it wasn't something I was crazy passionate about. Just the insurance details, but I realized that there could be a better way of doing it. And maybe sort of like an outsider who I'm doing this as this is the company that I would want to work with. Because there's been some things as we hire insurance agents, they're like, this is protocol, this is standard. And Josh and I have gone, oh no, 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 no. Like if I was a client, I would not be happy about that. That is not good enough for me. All it takes is just doing this little bit more. And that makes you better, a better fit than anybody else. I've had a lot of my credit repair clients reach out and they're like, oh, I want to use you for insurance, just because they know, that we're going to help in that way. So for me, that's what it was more about, saving money and just another way to help. For my business partners, I think they have a massive sort of community, and they just wanted, like, they're great at what they do. They wanted to be able to just, we can help in all these areas, everything that we already need, and do it better, I think.
I love it. One of the things that I know from knowing you personally is that you have an amazing passion for helping people. Where do you think that passion comes from?
I I don't know. It just feels really good. I think selfishly, it feels really good. It's so, um, addicting. I think it makes every day fun. I think, especially in credit repair, knowing that I have so much control over, whether it be a pricing thing or whatever, if I hear a story and I can offer the service at a discount or no cost, like, just, I get people crying sometimes because they weren't expecting it. They were calling, they're nervous. They know their, budget's tied. And like that just feels so good to be able to help in that way. And I know that nothing really in life will make you happy. Getting a big old house, getting a yacht, none of that stuff is really going to make you happy. You're always going to want, but one thing that never gets old is like helping people and that feeling. And so I don't know if it came from anywhere else other than just realizing that I know something that can help people. And again, just the feeling is addicting. It never gets old. I rush to get on a phone call because it's like, what's the story? What can I, and it just feels really good.
As you were talking, it reminded me of a book, and I don't know, I can't recall the author right now, but the name of the book is More Give to Live. And basically the whole premise of the book is exactly what you just said. There's something in that, in giving and being able to give back and help. I just think that you're right. It is addicting, and
And
it's
I try to
powerful.
I try to look for it's kind of like adding the new businesses we did, not just helping with credit, not just like that's you call me if you have a credit problem, but there's no the number of things that I've tried to help people with this week, just being a resource. Like I may not do that, but I'll find it for you, and
Yes.
so sort of makes I don't want to pretend like starting a business is easy, but one thing that I talk to, like for Power On, for example, when our real estate agents send us clients, they just want us to help set up utilities, but look for other things. Like maybe a client says one little thing that's like, oh, we can go help with that. For example, one of the first clients I helped when we started Power and Utilities was a woman, and her husband had really severe cancer. This is like right in the middle of COVID, and they were terrified because his immune system was just like, they were terrified. So I helped her find an Airbnb. I helped her have people come in and clean the house before they moved in, hang ceiling fans, TVs, a lot of different things. I could keep going, but that had nothing to do with necessarily our business. Nothing I got paid for, didn't matter. I knew how much it meant to her, and she just had so much on her plate, and just to be, somebody who's like, whatever you need, I'm going to do it. I want our business to be at a position where we have enough employees, we have enough time where we can just, what do you need? What can we help with? What resources do we have that can, that can help?
And resources it's it. But everything that you said is the reason why you are making the difference in our communities. You make the difference with Apex and our agents. We just love you. We love every contribution that you've given, and we just love the spirit of gratitude and giving that you have, and you're so humble. And that's one of the things that I really and truly love and appreciate about you. And I'm so glad that I know you. And I'm wishing you major success in every endeavor that you touch. We are coming close to a close, and I hate it because I know we can go on and talk about so much more. But I want to give you the opportunity to, if there's anything that you would like to say to our viewers and listeners, any statement, any thought, anything that you would like to share, and then also share your contact information as well.
Absolutely. So I think we wrapped it up well, because what I always try to finish by saying is, one thing for credit repair, especially, a lot of people are scared to make the phone call. How much is it going to cost? That sort of thing. We've always made our consultations free, and we always will. And on a daily basis, y'all don't charge for that? Like, come on, like nothing's free. Why would you not? Because I don't want one person to hesitate from reaching out. I want to know that it's, you can reach out, no obligation. And the consultation really is the most valuable part of anything we do, because it's giving you the confidence and the game plan, the action steps. That confidence, I think, is what turns renters into buyers. It's not laziness. It's not the procrastination, is the fear of the unknown. And so once you know what to do, then it's like, oh, that's really not so bad. I can do that. And so reach out if you need anything. Assume I can help with it, because if I don't do it, I'll find somebody who does. Another thing, as far as contact information, I started a page called Ask Dane Wilson. It's sort of a catch-all, because I am involved in a few different businesses now, and it seems like easier just to have one sort of go-to place where I talk about insurance or utilities or credit, personal finance. So any social media platform, Ask Dane Wilson. We talk about all of them. I put Lender's Choice information on there. I can put Platinum Eagle and Power On individually, but if you just reach out to me, then I can get you where you need to go.
Perfect. And you are a wealth of knowledge and resources. So please ask Dane Wilson. This has been an amazing show. I would love to have you to come back so we can dig deeper into some of the other things. I know some of the private conversations that we've had have been so deep and meaningful. I would love to get into some of those discussions on this platform. But again, I just thank you for who you are. I thank you for everything that you've done for our office, for our agents, for our company. We love you, and we just thank you for everything that you do, Dane.
Thank you. But I just want to say the same for you. Do anything you would ever need. You've done so much for me. I can't even begin to explain it. And so same to you. I really appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Well, this has been Chit Chat with Char, where our mission is to connect, collaborate, and cultivate those meaningful relationships with people like Mr. Dane Wilson in our communities who are truly making the difference. Again, I would like to thank all of our sponsors. Thank you, Dane. I would like to thank everybody who is watching and showing. We just got some stats, and I learned that Chit Chat with Char is the #2 podcast within the difference within that platform. So I am really excited, and I owe that to all of our viewers, all of our listeners, the sponsors, Mr. Lyndon Wilson, who's Dane's dad, by the way, to everybody who has contributed to this. I just am so thankful. And again, this is Chit Chat with Char. We'll see you next Wednesday.
Thank you.